Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Mompreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento. And if there's one thing that I know every single one of our businesses would benefit from, it's reviews and testimonials. And if there's also one thing that I know that we're all super weird about and that we tend to ignore and we tend to not put the work in to get, it is also reviews and testimonials. And that's why I love today's guest's business, because not only is she incredible what she does, but it's so clear that she brings such an amazing attitude and energy towards helping her clients get those reviews and testimonials, and doing it in a way that really retains that personal touch so that even our clients and customers are happy to leave those reviews. So let me introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Lindsay Kingsley. Lindsay is a stay-at-home mom of a beautiful toddler as well as one on the way, and she's building a new kingdom one nap at a time, because she has learned in her 7 years of events, lead generation, fundraising, project management, and more that a lot of little marketing headaches have a simple fix answer. And she is here to answer a very simple part of that equation and one piece of the puzzle of getting those consistent, positive Google reviews. And like I said, she takes a lot of that heavy lifting off of us to do so. So I'm going to ask her all those questions about why it is that we as business owners hesitate and fail to get those ratings and reviews and testimonials from our clients. So we're all going to not only learn a lot from Lindsay today, but we're going to get a kick up our butt to start taking action here. So I'm excited about this one. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Lindsay Kingsley. All right, Lindsay, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. I'm happy to be here.
Heck yes. Lindsay, I'm going to ask you all sorts of probing questions today, because you know even more so than I do that we just don't get ratings and reviews in our businesses. But before I get to do that, take us beyond the bio. Who's Lindsay? How'd you start doing all these cool things?
Yeah, so I am 30 years old, and I proudly identify with millennials, but I've got some Gen Z tendencies, knowing technology and things like that. I started out in psychology and counseling, actually, so that was what I studied, and super passionate about it. I love people, and I love hearts and motivations and stories that people bring to the table. Got married right out of college, and my husband wanted to go to professional school to be in medicine. And so I kind of tabled the counseling psychology for a little bit because I wanted to be able to pay the bills while he was in school. And I knew the numbers, knew it wouldn't work if I was doing some counseling on the side. And so ended up in marketing roles. You take whatever entry-level job you can get when you're starting out in your big girl jobs. And so my first job was an event coordinator with a campus ministry. And then my second job was at a university doing events and recruitment for the enrollment office. And then my third job was at a marketing agency in St. Louis. I was there for the longest. I was there for 3 years and worked up from campaign manager to project manager, and learned a lot about API keys and webhooks and different platforms and what they all have in common and what are some of the differences, and kind of those back end business practices that like most of the people that I grew up with never really had time to like learn or figure out. So when I started looking at what could I do? We had a baby. So my husband graduated, he started school, we had a baby, and then we were looking at the budget again and realizing like I probably need to bring in some income for us as well. So I started looking at like, what can I do that would allow me to still be at home with my kids, but I could grow it and scale it to such a place that it would become semi-passive over time. So I started looking into those things, and yeah, just my pool of community, there was just a big need for some marketing efforts and some admin that people didn't know how to set up. And I was like, it's actually pretty simple if you have like a year to commit to like learning it. So I just started offering that and doing a little bit of side work for folks. And then the easiest piece to hone in on was the reviews and the reputation. Like, it is so easy to set up a little automation to help y'all bring in those reviews. So I chose that one specific thing because it's really easy to set up, and I can do it over a nap time. I can do it in like an hour after the kids go to bed. So the rinse and repeat is like really nice for that model.
Yeah. Lindsay, I'm going to call that out there because you say it's easy. A lot of listeners are going to be tuning in thinking, gosh, it's crickets when it comes to my reviews and testimonials.
Right.
Easy for you, but you've obviously seen and you clearly identified this market gap that business owners don't find it easy. Business owners shelve this. Business owners, we all want more reviews and testimonials, but that's the one thing, whether it's we feel awkward about asking for it, we don't know the timing of asking for it. You talk about the automations that make it so much easier to make that happen. Why is it? I'm sure it's a mix of a lot of things, but why is it that businesses just don't ask for those reviews and testimonials?
Yeah, well, think about like, most of them know that it's important and they'll try a couple things. I hear the most that somebody's asking verbally for it, like after they finish a job or after somebody visits their gym or like whatever the business is, they'll ask verbally after that interaction, which is great. But if you know anything about human nature and just how busy and attention deficited we are, that it just falls through the cracks. As soon as somebody gets a phone call or the kid's screaming in the other room or the dog just ran into the street, the effort that it takes for your customer to go to your page themselves and find the spot to leave a review and then leave a review, it just doesn't happen very often. So that's the most common one. I also hear like team incentives a lot where business owners will be like $100 if you can get a review from our customer that you just served, which is great. Sometimes that's successful, but it ends up costing you a lot of money if it is successful. And then if it's not successful, it's for the same reason. Like your project managers are also human and forgetful and will forget tasks. And then a lot of CRMs also have something built in for reviews, but again, just the technology piece of it, like business owners won't want to go take the time to like fine tune that and like get it set up and rolling. Or if they have, it just doesn't convert very well because it's super generic and like not friendly, not the experience they had with you in person. So it's like a kind of a confusing request to receive. So those are some of the big obstacles that I hear people like, well, I've tried this and this and this, but it doesn't really get a steady, consistent, yeah.
Yeah, I also want to ask you about timing because in talking to so many, like as a podcaster, there's never a wrong time for me to ask for ratings and reviews. Listeners, if you haven't done it, it really helps us podcasters. It's why we throw that out there. But
plug right now.
Yeah, Lindsay, in the grand scheme of projects, like I'm thinking about local plumbers, I'm thinking about lawyers, I'm thinking about accountants, all these people that if they want to show up in our local community and our local Google searches, they need those reviews and testimonials. What's the right time? I'm a big proponent of strike while the iron's hot, is that while it's fresh. But then I also feel bad after the fact as a client when I'm just like, oh man, 3 months went by. That HVAC guy was actually really good. Should I go back and leave a review? If he pinged me right now, I probably would with a reminder. What's the right timing for this?
Yeah. While the iron's hot is obviously best. Google's rules around this are actually pretty loose. For all the rules that Google has, this is one spot where they're pretty loose. You could pull over and help somebody change a tire on the side of the road. And if you own a business, you could say, hey, I actually am the owner of this business. Would you mind leaving me a review based on just this interaction of me helping you change your tire today? So like, the opportunity is wide. You could send reviews to a whole bunch of people. So depending on what your business is, if you have regular visitors that like, for example, I ran a co-working space campaign once and they would just have people visit and not convert to members, but they would still send a review request after that initial visit because a lot of people feel the space, like they feel it. They're like, I would like to work here. I like the ambiance. I like what they're doing. So that would be an iron is hot moment, like fresh after a visit, or for their regular members, we set it up to go out 2 to 3 weeks after they had been attending regularly so that they actually have like some experience to base that review on. So yeah, I would say while the iron's hot, but I would also say like, if you're an events professional, I have a client that's an events professional. I recommended, I was like, let's send it like right after. And he was like, well, my wedding people that just got married are not going to leave me a review on their wedding night. And I was like, that's a good point. I don't think we should send it right after. Maybe we should wait a week and let them get back from their honeymoon to leave you that review. So yeah, it really depends business to business.
I appreciate the insights in the very different considerations, unique considerations for every single business. But Lindsay, I think part of it also, speaking as a business owner of 17 years now, is that the ask is also as awkward or as burdensome as we make it feel. And as a podcaster, clearly I feel very comfortable. It's such a low commitment thing to open your favorite podcast player and leave a rating and review. But Google reviews feel a little bit more high commitment, a little bit more time intensive. What's the ask look like? I'm obviously always happy and high energy, and so I tend to do things most high energy and make it exciting for others. So I'm just like, hey, it'd be really exciting for us and exciting for you if you can do this. What's that ask look like? Because I'm sure you also kind of match the tone and brand of the clients you work for or work with. So I'm interested how you navigate messaging and positioning there.
Yeah, so there's two pieces that I try to make it super fun. Actually, there's three pieces that I try to make it super fun. The first is like a customized image. So if I can get a picture of you and your team, just thumbs up and smiling in front of your work truck or whatever it is, just saying like, hey, and then I put your customer's name in it. Hey, Becky, we loved scooping your dog's poop this week, or whatever it was. I send that picture with my text messages and then in my emails, and then in the actual messaging, I like to use a little bit of humor. So I literally ask ChatGPT every time, like, write a funny thank you line for that, like a roofer would say to a homeowner after they finish work, and then it'll come up with like, hey, Charlotte, like, we hope we nailed it on your roofing project. Would you mind leaving us a So just little quirky, like fun things. And then I also include a little like meal donation to a local charity for every review that comes in. So I also include a little bit of that like community involvement, good cause stuff in my messaging too. So a lot of those things go over really well with the people on the receiving end.
Yeah, that is brilliant, Lindsay. I've never heard anybody talk about that. That goodwill, it must feel amazing for people to also leave reviews. I've also seen in the marketplace, obviously, restaurants are big on this. Ice cream places I've seen do this. I'm a sucker for a good coffee shop. Very rarely do I see a coffee shop do this, though, is to give people a business card or something. Ideally something that we actually want to hold on to, not something that we're just going to throw in the trash. How can we integrate physical stuff into our ask? Is that something you do, or is digital the way?
Yeah, I truly don't recommend it. So this is one of those parts where Google's policies do get a little bit tighter. If you're offering like services or merch or anything like that for reviews that come in that are straight from your business, Google tries to like throw a flag on that if they catch wind of it. So if you're going to do it that way, maybe be pretty discreet about it. But the reason the meal donation works better is because it's not a direct product from your business. So you're like supporting another organization in getting reviews for your own business. So it's incentivizing, but it's not like, I'll give you 10% off your next job, or I'll give you a sweatshirt with our logo on it or whatever, if that makes sense. So it's a little different because it's not directly like, we'll give you our services if you leave us a review. It's more of like we're all supporting this other cause if you leave us a review. So, yeah.
Yeah, Lindsay, it feels silly asking you this question then, but you talk about not triggering any flags from Google. And I've heard this from podcasters. I've heard it from service providers where they say, ooh, I think I need some 4 or 3 star reviews to mix in so it doesn't look like, it's just my friends and family leaving me these. Are these real considerations? Should we actually be thinking about these things?
Yeah. Data, there's loads of data around it. People trust a 4.7 to 4.9 so much more than they trust a perfect 5.0, especially if you have hundreds of reviews. So if you're getting in that 50 reviews plus range, you do want like a few more that are not a perfect 5-star rating because it looks more tangible. There are other services out there that are like review aggregators. Those services, what they have is like a pool of people on call to like once they sign a client, that pool of people will go and leave a review on your page. But it's not legitimate, they weren't people that you actually served. And that's where you see like 500 reviews, perfect 5.0 rating. So yeah, those things are out there and they're not legitimate, and people do trust the 4.7 to 4.9 more than a perfect 5.0 score.
Yeah, that's helpful to hear. And I also think it's encouraging because I would imagine a lot of business owners, our fear is we put so much goodness into what it is that we do. And we're also well-intentioned in serving others. That's why we start our businesses. But it's scary to ask people for reviews when we don't know what they're going to say. We don't know if it's going to be 5 stars. How do you help people navigate that? Because I do feel like it's a big mindset obstacle.
It really is. I tell them basically what I just told you, like people trust not the perfect score more. And then I would say, like, if you get 10% or less of your reviews are not a perfect score, that's actually ideal. If you start to see like 20 to 30% of those reviews being negative, maybe it's worth tweaking what you're saying, or even your contact list, maybe like highlighting the people that you maybe don't want to send a review request to, things like that. But I still wouldn't tweak it too much because, again, like the authenticity is the most important thing when you're doing customer service and when you're putting your reputation out there. I would probably recommend more so if you're getting consistent bad reviews, that it's probably worth taking a look at your own processes and your own customer experience to like work on it there, rather than filtering who you send the request to. If that makes sense.
I love that. And to me, it's such a classic case. Obviously, your husband is in the medical field. You and I were talking off air. My sister is a veterinarian. And so frequently in medicine, we hear, don't treat the symptom, treat the cause. And I love how much of your answer goes back to that. But let's talk about the symptom. Let's talk about if you do get a 1-star review, what can we do about those bad reviews?
Yeah, you've got some options. So everybody is able to report a negative review if it's truly like false information. So there are instances where your competitors might come to your page and leave a false review. What I usually have people do is like get like 10 of your best friends to just go and report that review to try to get it taken down. And if it's still not down after like a month, go find another 10 friends to go report that review. You have that option on Google. On any business page, you can report a review. Anybody can. And then secondly, there are some some lawyers out there who will essentially just get really aggressive with Google. If there is a fake review on your page, you can pay them like $600 to $700 to like have a review taken down. They basically just do all the excessive texting and emailing and contacting Google to try to get it down for you. So there are some options out there if there are fake reviews on your page. And then the last thing that you can do with your negative reviews, the best and easiest thing to do is to just respond to them. And so say like, hey, Frank, like, I'm really sorry to hear that was the experience that you had with us. I want to make this better. Please get in touch with us. Here's a phone number. Here's an email. Let's talk through like how we can rectify this situation. Because what that says to the onlooker is like, okay, they have these negative reviews, but they cared enough to jump back into their Google page and say like, hey, you matter to me and I want your experience to be better. And here's some ways that you can get in touch with us so that we can talk through how to make it better. So that says a lot to onlookers too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. As a consumer, I find myself, even the good reviews, when a restaurant will reply to the good reviews and the bad reviews, I think to myself, they just care overall about how people in the local community are interacting with them. Actually, let's go there. I'd love to talk about those interactions, because reviews, I mean, the cool thing about Google reviews is it is a two-way street. It's not just like on Amazon. I don't think Amazon product owners can ever reply to any of our reviews, but Google's a bit of a different beast there. Talk to us about the importance of that two-way communication.
Yeah, it's important for two reasons. So the obvious reason being what we just talked about, like if somebody sees your lower star reviews and they see that you've responded and tried to like make an effort to bridge the gap there, that just like you said, like it shows the customer, well, they just care overall about the experience. And that's ultimately what I want, is for somebody to care about how I perceive them and what my experience with them is like. But secondly, the back and forth really actually matters for your rank on Google too. So if you're only getting reviews and not responding to them, that activity score in your ranking is a lot lower than if you were actively responding to every review. So just like any platform, like wherever you see the most likes and comments and the owner of the page's engagement on the page, Google does the same thing, like preferential treatment to whoever is engaging with the page as much as they can.
Yeah, so. Makes sense. Lindsay, obviously we're honing in on Google up to this point, but there's so many review platforms these days. There's Yelp as another big one, but there's even all these other ones that pop up. You can have your say in most corners of the internet these days. How much do you pay attention to the rest of the landscape outside of just Google reviews?
Yeah, I personally don't give a ton of attention to the others, but I do know that they play a big part, especially Yelp for like Apple Maps. So when somebody's on their phone looking for something as opposed to on their computer looking for something, that's the biggest question that I would say each business needs to answer to decide where to send people for the review. So if you're like a restaurant, I would say probably Yelp would be the best direction to go for you, because people aren't usually on their computers looking for somewhere to eat in the next hour. They're usually on their phone, and Apple Maps caters a lot more to Yelp than it does. But if they're a Google Maps user, then again, you want to go back to your Google Business and send people there. What I don't recommend sending people to multiple different platforms. So if you're making a request for a review, you don't want to have like 3 different links, like please leave a review here, here, and here. You really just want to focus that energy in one spot, and it needs to be wherever your people are the most. So if you're not tracking that data yet, I would say start tracking that data. Where did these people come from that you're serving? And how do I get more attention in that area? And then I've kind of lost track of what the original question was. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Lindsay, you totally nailed it, because obviously talking about like the overall review landscape, hearing you talk about the importance of Google, it actually really makes me want to ask you this question, because I've seen a really interesting trend in 2025 that it's no longer just local businesses that have Google business profiles and are amassing reviews. It's also digital businesses, virtual businesses, service-based businesses. A lot of listeners of this show will have businesses that fit into that category. Lindsay, is this a new thing that we should be paying attention to? Should all of us have Google business profiles and go after those reviews?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it depends on, again, like where are your people and how do they find you? So I am a digital marketing agency. Most people are not going to find me from a local Google search. They would find me from networking and word of mouth more than anything right now. So if you want to be in your local market, then yes, like do the business page, get the reviews. Or if you just want a place that's like easy to get reviews to, then yes, do the reviews. So even if you don't see a lot of customers coming to you through a Google business listing, and again, let's like clarify too, it's local SEO as opposed to like regular SEO. They're 2 different ballparks. Local, you want your local businesses to be showing up with their Google business profile. Regular SEO is kind of like when you get your search results and there's like 3 or 4 pages of links to follow. That's like regular SEO. So I'm talking local specific. If you want to be in your local market, then yes, get a Google business page that shows that you are in Omaha or Dallas or St. Louis or wherever you are. But if having that local presence isn't as necessary, like I can work with anyone across the country, but currently trying to hit the Omaha market more. So I've got my business page set to St. Louis and Omaha, where I've spent the most time. Then yeah, get the reviews there. And then if you just want an easy place to get reviews published to, then yes, you can always take those reviews from your Google page, make your own social posts with them, use them for whatever marketing efforts you need to use them for. It is a really easy to access spot to like get testimonials too. So
yeah, so well said. And we get to leverage that. And of course, it's free for us as business owners. So I think that's really cool. Hearing the way that you talk about this, I'm thinking about how many business owners have neglected this for probably years. I'm sure there's a lot of restaurant owners that have never paid attention to this.
Right.
I feel, and it sounds like you feel with your marketing hat on, pretty similar to me in this fashion, that's cool. You called it a reactivation campaign before, where
Yes.
there's no statute of limitations on this stuff. They can look backwards and tap into so many different people. Is that also kind of a gold mine for you when you step in with clients of saying, let's go after everybody you've served?
Yes. If I can find somebody that's been in business for 20 years and has like 30 reviews, that's like so sweet to me, because I'll run that. For example, I just relaunched a roofer this last month, and he had a contact list of 700 folks that he had done roofs for. And we've only been running it for 2 weeks, but I've gotten him he started with 27 reviews, local roofer, and now he's coming up on 60 today. He's got 59. So yeah, just to be able to, like, you've already done that work, and like you are sitting on a chunk of reviews that if I could just set this up for you, I could at least get you a handful of those reviews back to your page that you've already done the work for. So let's just get it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Lindsay, I told you that time would fly by here together today, and it absolutely is. But I want to squeeze in 2 more questions. The first question is, I want to put the spotlight right on you, because you are a stay-at-home mom raising a 2-year-old with another one on the way. And a lot of people use that as an excuse for why they can't start a business at that time, or why they can't run a business at that time. Lindsay, you're doing the ultimate balancing act as a mom. What does that look like for you personally?
Well, I would first say, like, I feel ya. Nap time rolls around, and I am so tired at nap time most of the time that I'm just like, can I really make cold calls right now? So I would say to anyone who's like, I only have 10 hours a week tops, 5 hours a week tops, I would just do it anyways. Like, if you can commit regular discipline to 5 to 10 hours a week, trying to get something started and just like doing that outreach or doing that like product development that you need to do to like get it off the ground, just commit those hours regularly over a period of time. And it'll take you longer than somebody else. It will, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, if you can commit the discipline, something that somebody undisciplined would take like 5 years to do, you'll be able to do it in 2, just because you committed the time. But it doesn't have to be a lot of time. So like for me, it's a nap window and maybe an hour or 2 additional each day. And then sometimes my husband will give me a chunk on a Saturday to go to a coffee shop and crank some stuff out. So you don't need a lot. You just need discipline. So just commit to the outreach that you need to do to get the word out that you exist. And then commit the hours and try to take care of yourself all the while. You know, there's always 20 different things that it's like, I need to eat healthy, take care of myself, do the business thing, take care of the kids, make sure I'm present with them. There's a lot to juggle. But yeah, even just 5 to 10 hours, if you can regularly put in the 5 to 10 hours, it goes a long way over a year or over 2 years.
Yeah, I really appreciate those insights. And that's that compounding effect. We talk about it so much in the world of finance, but it's also true in commitment. It's also true in effort. It's also true in business, is that small things added up over time really build something so much bigger than those tiny time blocks in between naps. So I love those insights into your real life real life as a mompreneur. I think it's so cool what you're doing. But I'm also going to put you on the spot one final time, because now you've got to zoom even further out and leave our listeners with that one piece of advice. I always ask it at the end of every episode, knowing that we're being listened to by both wantrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different stages of their own growth journeys, and also knowing that you are one of us as a fellow entrepreneur. What's that one thing you want to leave them with today?
Yeah, I would say find the gaps in your business that need work, and commit the time, whatever that time is, commit the time to fixing that gap or closing that gap. So I have an excellent product. I'm really confident in the product, but I've found that my sales skills are just not that great. So currently working through a sales training course to try to like close that gap, because I'm great with technology, but I'm not great at making that bold ask for like, do you want to run it? Like, let's commit today. So whatever that is, like, take the time and get help for whatever that gap is. because it'll really pay off. If you need more help with your accounting, like get yourself to figure out where you need to be able to hire an accountant to do your bookkeeping for you. Or if you need to offload your sales process eventually, figure out where you need to be able to hire a setter or to hire a sales team. And then just clearly map that out, like have a dollar amount, and then when you get there, make the hire. So that would probably be my best. Just like get the help when you need the help.
Yes, I love that piece of advice. And I love the fact that we all have those gaps, Lindsay. We can all zoom out and ask ourselves this big question. So I hope that today's episode and your advice here is that impetus for people to take action. I'm also very excited for people to check out your business and all the work that you do, because I will transparently share with you, Lindsay, while we're on the air together, that it's not easy to find people in the world of reviews who are doing it the right way. And it's so clear in the way you've talked about it today that you're doing the right thing. You're caring about the brands that you're working with. You're caring about their customers and their clients in a way that sets everybody up for success and spotlights and really elevates those good businesses doing good work. So you've got a really cool video on your homepage where you walk people through the way that you work and the way that you approach it. So for listeners who want to find all that good stuff online, drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
From here, you could go to my website. It's King William Marketing, but marketing is abbreviated, so it's kingwilliammktg.com. Or you could just get in touch with me. So same domain name, kingwilliammktg.com, and then it's just Lindsay Kingsley at King William. So shoot me an email. I'd love to chat.
Yes, and on top of that, we are making it as easy as possible for you to find those links and Lindsay's email address down below in the show notes, so do not be shy about reaching out. We're also linking to Lindsay's personal LinkedIn, so if you want to have her in your network and say, who is this person? Do I really want to reach out to her? Yes, you do. Add her. Don't be shy. Most people are shy when it comes to getting help in our businesses, but if this is a gap that you have in your business, you heard the advice from Lindsay here today, so definitely check out the links in the show notes down below. Otherwise, Lindsay, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Brian. See ya.